Hey guys, I want to talk about my best date experience and my worst date experience because I think that would be kind of a fun, just to get to know me based off of experiences I've had that are like diametrically opposed. Worst date. I was in Detroit and we met on some app, and this is a long time ago. So we're talking 2001, 2-ish range. I've been single for a year and a half or 2 years at that point. And this guy got a hold of me and he said, "Oh, you're really hot." I'm like, "Hey, cool. I don't see a picture." He says, and he just started going on. He just kept diverting the topic. And finally, I'm like, "Dude, what do you look like?" He says, "Well, I have dark hair and dark eyes." He says, "I go to the gym." And he kind of listed off all the stuff that he did. He was IT, went to the gym, he did all the stuff. It was really cool. We actually talked a bit and he seemed nice, but we're typing. So anybody can seem nice when you're typing because you're putting your perspective of what you think the words are supposed to mean and then just saying that's what they mean, which is why it's difficult to type and write and have people get what you're really talking about because they're putting their own self into it. Did you just call me out on something? No. I said I thought that was cool. Oh, yeah, that kind of thing. So this guy wants to go on a date. I said, "Well, I'm really busy at the gym, blah, blah, blah." He says, "I'll come to you." Okay, so he lived in Port Huron, and I lived in Taylor, Michigan, Taylor, Kentucky. And he comes down, pulls into the driveway. My roommate, Anthony, was sitting there with his boyfriend, Joe. I want to say it was Joe. And he gets out of the car. So he's about 5'8", a decent height. I like that height. 350 pounds, none of which was muscle. And he had greasy hair. Not my type. So I sat there and I looked at Tony and I'm like, "What am I supposed to do?" And he says, "I would just not answer the door." And I said, "Yeah, but I'm not a dick." So I went downstairs. I didn't bring him upstairs. I went downstairs and I said, "Okay, let's go." I was thinking we could go grab coffee and get some food and blah, blah, blah. And he says, "That sounds really cool. I'll drive." So we're in his car and we drive to this place. And I'm telling him how to get there, being the wonderful next seat driver that I am. We go to this coffee house where I know nobody. Walk in, and the whole time he's talking. And in the whole time he's talking about, oh God, it was everything that was derogatory that you could think of to tell somebody that grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere and lived in the city of Detroit. Yeah, he managed to hit everything. It was awesome. So I'm getting angry, as well as really resentful that I have to be going through this. We go into the coffee place, order coffee. The guy that I ordered from, turns out, later in life becomes one of my good friends. That was a lot of fun. And he then later told me from his perspective what he saw this date looking like. And he's like, "You came in and you looked, what would you say? Anxious." And he said it was really weird to watch because I could tell you had no interest in him and this guy was just gaga for you. And I'm like, yeah, that was the most awkward thing I've ever been through. I've been through a couple other ones, but that was really super awkward. We get done with the coffee. I decide that there is no hope in hell I want to have food with this person. So we leave, go back to my place. I says, "Let's just go back to my place." We get back to my place and I'm like, I don't mean to be bad. I don't mean to be rude here, but this is what you told me. This is what you are. And this is what you've said to me to upset me. So I'm not really sure what you're thinking. And then on top of that, after I told him, I says, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm going upstairs." And he says, "Well, I can come with you." I said, "No, I'm going into my apartment. You're going home." And he got really whiny, you'll understand. You're like, "I don't understand why nobody wants to date me." I said, "Because you lie. If you were honest with me and said, 'Dude, I got a lot of work to do,' I'd be like, okay. First off, you should never show up for a date with greasy hair. You should always take at least some care of yourself because that tells me your level of care about things in general. we're not going to get along if I come home and it's like there's stuff all over the place because you don't care. You're just like throwing stuff around. That person would drive me nuts. I'd be like, if you don't pick up your goddamn socks, oh, I had to flashback there for a second. I'm sorry. I hate walking around the house picking up socks all over. I mean, all over the house. Like, when did you take your socks off in the kitchen? And then, secondly, why did you take your socks off in the kitchen? Pile of socks next to the chair in the living room. And I'm like, do you not know how to take off your socks and put them in the bin? Worst date. There's another one that's come close, but I'm not giving that guy any recognition in the world. Best date. This one's gonna be harder. So I met this guy online, and it was on Tinder, and we made plans to get together. Originally he was from Lima, Peru, and just very nice, very knowledgeable, very friendly. Really enjoyed his energy. So after talking to him for a bit, we said, okay, let's meet up. So we meet in Cincinnati. I drive all the way to Cincinnati because he's from Cincinnati. And we meet at this French bistro called French Crust Cafe. That sounds directionally correct. And it was like this little Parisian cafe. And seriously, he walked in, sat down, he's like, this is just like Paris. This is pretty cool. And they brought around the menus, and we looked at them, and I'm like, it's all in French. It was really cool. For me, it's exciting because it's like, I live in America. I live in the part of America that people actually say America. And I hate that. This is so uncultured. So we're sitting there. I order eggs Florentine, which I'd never had. I had an eggs Benedict, but all they had was egg Florentine. I love egg Florentine, by the way. And I don't remember what he ordered. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I don't care. We ordered coffee. It was amazing coffee. The food was amazing. And when we got done, we're sitting there. They keep coming around pouring more coffee, which I just sat there and drank because it was smooth. And I love coffee. But we just talk, and it was just seamless. Very cool, very calming, very intellectual, which I love people that can just go deep intellectually. It just made my day. And they came around again. We both got pain chocolat, which is almost like a croissant with chocolate chips in it. So that was really good. And then we left there, walk over to this farmer's market that's right next door, and just wandered around, and we're looking at meat. We walk up to a counter, and like, they had fresh seafood. The guy said, I can chuck you oysters if you want. And I just sat there like, I want this in my world. That was so cool. We didn't actually do anything because we just eaten, so there was that. But then I want to go with this. We just kept going from place to place, and as we would go, we'd walk up and we'd look at like beef or chicken or whatnot, and it was prepared differently by everybody because these are all different butchers. We walk up and we start talking about that cut of meat right there. Well, how would you serve that? What would be your go-to recipe on that? You walk up to the seafood, and I'm like, oh, they have, and we just start talking about, like, they had eel, and I'm like, oh, I love eel. It's amazing. And we just talk about these different things, and just, it was really cool to be able just to, like, bounce ideas off each other. And food, you can talk food with me nonstop for 24/7, and I will be a happy camper. I don't eat much. I still haven't eaten today. It's 3 o'clock. I've had protein shakes. Don't feel sorry for me. I did this to myself. So we're sitting there. We get done with all of this talking about, how you prepare this, how you prepare that. And we get done with everything, and we're like, okay, what's next? And they have the Cincinnati Museum of Art is up the hill. We go there and walk in. This place is a palace of like all kinds of artwork and archaeological artifacts and stuff like that. So it's like really cool. We walk in and we wander around, and we walk up to art. We walk up to this painting, and I'm like, I love what these guys did. If you look at this thing, you can see every brush stroke, and it's just perfectly defined, and the picture is just exquisite. It's like you could almost reach out and touch the person. And then we walked up to Impressionists, and we just go through all these phases of artwork. And I talk about what I like and what I do not like about various time frames and artist schools. It's really cool. And I just was in awe of a lot of it. And then we get to the modern stuff. And I hate modern art. I can't say that loud enough. I can't say that with enough passion. I hate it. If it looks like something I could do, it's not art. And I know I'm going to hear a lot of flack for this, but I don't think it's art. And I'm okay with that. You guys, this is the discussion you have when you're on a date. If you're on a really deep date. If you're on a date that's only one date, this is the kind of discussions you have. So yeah, I was the one though that called it off. He was the wrong person. It was the perfect date. It was the wrong person. And in the end, I was okay. And I am okay. I'm going to find the right guy. He's out there. He exists. I can smell him. Smell's very important for me, by the way. If you smell good, and there's this really interesting odor some guys give off that's, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like they bottled sex. Or not sex, sexiness. It's a sweet smell. And if a guy can give off that smell, it's like, yeah, pheromones. Anyway, I digress in a good way. I'm going to let you guys go. I love you guys. I love you, dude. Have a great one. See ya.